beamy 20-something female, and until recently, I thought I had the modern world completely figured out. My main thing was writing, had a blog, decent social media following. The topic was always the same: navigating the world as a woman, the male gaze, toxic masculinity, all of it. I saw it everywhere. It was like I had special glasses that let me see the hidden architecture of patriarchy. My friends were mostly in the same bubble. We'd share articles, get angry about stuff we saw online, and generally reinforce each other's worldview. It was our truth. The world was a hostile place for women, and men, consciously or not, were the architects of that hostility. The gym was a place I'd read a lot about, a supposed hotbed of everything I was fighting against, a place where women were constantly judged, harassed, and made to feel like pieces of meat. I'd never actually been to a proper weights gym before, just yoga classes and the occasional cardio machine at a women-only place. My friend, who is a bit more pragmatic, I guess, had a membership at one of these big co-ed fitness centers. She'd been trying to get me to go with her for ages. One day, a few months back, I decided to take her up on the offer, but not for fitness. It was for research. I was going to write the ultimate expose on gym culture. I was going to walk into the lion's den and document every stare, every unwanted comment, every bit of mansplaining. I told my friend my plan. She just sighed. She does that a lot when I talk about my blog. She said it wasn't really like that people are mostly just there to work out. I laughed, told her she was just desensitized to it, that she'd learned to ignore the constant low-level harassment. She just shook her head and said, "Just wear something comfortable." I had other plans. The day came. I think it was a Thursday evening. Peak time. I didn't want comfort. I wanted to be a catalyst. I put on the most expensive, form-fitting, brightly colored gym set I owned, the kind you see all over Instagram. It was designed to be seen. My friend saw me and just raised an eyebrow. I explained it was part of the experiment. An outfit like this would be irresistible to the male gaze. I was basically painting a target on my back to prove my point. She told me I was going to be disappointed. I told her the only disappointment would be the state of modern masculinity. We drove to the gym. I remember feeling like a journalist going undercover into a dangerous cult. I was mentally preparing my comebacks for when guys would inevitably try to talk to me, polite but firm rejections. Maybe a sharp, witty retort if they were persistent. I was ready for battle. We walked in. The place was huge. The sound was the first thing that hit me. The clanking of metal, the low hum of treadmills, some generic high-energy pop music playing over the speakers, and it smelled like sweat, rubber, and cleaning solution. It was packed, just like I'd hoped. A sea of men, all shapes and sizes, huge guys who looked like they lived there, skinny guys, older guys, guys who looked just as lost as I felt. My friend went to go fill her water bottle, leaving me alone for a minute. Here we go. Show time. I stood there, trying to look casual, and scanned the room. My eyes immediately locked onto him. He was like something out of a Greek statue, perfectly sculpted, blonde hair, probably 6'3" or something. He was over by the squat racks, loading an insane amount of weight onto a barbell. He was the apex predator, the alpha. If anyone was going to be a problem, it would be him. I decided he would be my primary subject. My friend came back and I subtly pointed him out. She just shrugged. "Yeah, he's here a lot. Never heard him speak a single word to anyone," I scoffed. "He doesn't have to speak. His presence alone is an assertion of dominance." She gave me a weird look and went to start her warm-up on a stationary bike. I decided to begin my workout strategically. I found a clear spot on the floor mats, maybe 20 feet away from the Greek god. A perfect vantage point. I started with some elaborate stretches, the kind that really emphasize your flexibility. I held each pose for a little longer than necessary, making sure I was in his general field of vision. I'd glance up from my stretch, trying to catch his eye. Nothing. His focus was absolute. He was staring at his own reflection in the mirror, his eyes narrowed in concentration. He had these huge noise-canceling headphones on. They were like shields. He got under the bar, took a deep breath, and performed a perfect heavy squat. The only sound he made was a controlled grunt of exertion. He racked the weight, made a note in a little book he had, and started preparing for his next set. He didn't look around. He didn't scan the room. He didn't even seem aware that other people existed. This was confusing. My theory stated that a man like that, in his prime physical condition, would be constantly on the lookout for female attention, a peacock displaying his feathers. This guy was a locked vault. Maybe he was just playing it cool, trying to make me come to him. A classic power play. Fine. I'll move on to phase 2. I finished my stretches and decided to walk a lap around the free weights area, the most intimidating part of the gym. It was basically a small city of benches, racks, and dumbbells. And it was almost exclusively men. I saw another group that fit my profile perfectly. 4 or 5 guys, all built like refrigerators, crowded around a bench press. They were loud, yelling encouragement at their friend who was lifting. "Come on, one more. Push it. You got this." They were the embodiment of bro culture. Surely they'd have something to say as I walked by. I straightened my posture, put a slight sway in my walk, and glided past their bench. I might as well have been a ghost. Their entire universe was contained in the space between the man on the bench and the barbell above his chest. They high-fived each other after he finished the set, completely oblivious to my existence. I looped around again a few minutes later, just to be sure, same result. I wasn't even a blip on their radar. The initial confidence I felt was starting to curdle into a weird mix of frustration and annoyance. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Where was the unwanted attention? Where was the objectification I was here to document? My friend finished her warm-up and found me. "How's the hard-hitting journalism going?" she asked, a little sarcastically. I told her I was just observing, gathering data. I said the behavior was more subtle than I anticipated, that the men were creating an environment of exclusion, a boys' club atmosphere that was implicitly hostile. She just nodded. Right. A boys' club, or maybe it's just a gym. She showed me how to use a few of the resistance machines, leg press, shoulder press, simple stuff. I went through the motions, but my focus wasn't on the workout. It was on the men around me, and that's when I started to notice the pattern. None of them were looking at me, or at any other woman, for that matter. Their eyes were locked forward, on the mirror in front of them, on their own bodies, or they were looking at their phones between sets, scrolling, typing, watching videos. It was like everyone was in their own private bubble. The Greek god was still in his, the group of bros was in theirs. Every man in that room seemed to be following some unwritten rule. Don't make eye contact. This wasn't what the article said. This wasn't what my online circles described. My frustration grew. Was my experiment a failure? Did I come on a weird night? Or was there something wrong with me? That thought popped into my head, and I immediately pushed it away. No, my theory was correct. They were just being more clever about it than I thought. It was a form of passive aggression. By ignoring me, they were denying my presence, my womanhood. It was a different flavor of the same toxic root. Yeah, that sounded right. I started mentally composing the angle for my blog post. The invisibility cloak, how men at the gym use ignorance as a weapon of misogyny. It had a nice ring to it. I moved over to a seated cable row machine, and that's when I finally got what I was looking for. Or so I thought. Across from me, in the dumbbell area, there was a guy. He was just a normal guy. Not super muscular like the Greek god, not scrawny either, just an average dude. Brown hair, wearing a simple gray t-shirt and shorts. He was doing bicep curls, and he was facing my direction. And he was looking at me. Not a quick glance. A sustained look. Every time he lifted the dumbbell, his eyes were fixed in my general direction. Aha, finally. And of course, it wasn't the super attractive one. It was this plain, average guy. A classic case. He probably thought he was being subtle. I felt a surge of validation. My whole trip wasn't a waste after all. I finished my set and pretended to be checking my phone, but I was really just watching him. He'd finish a set, look at his phone for a minute, and then start another, and every single time, his gaze would drift back over to me. It was making my skin crawl. This was exactly the kind of creepy behavior I was here to expose. My friend was on a machine a few feet away. I walked over to her. I kept my voice low. Don't be obvious, but look at that guy in the gray shirt. He has been staring at me non-stop for the last 10 minutes. She glanced over, then looked back at me, unimpressed. The one doing curls? Melissa, he's looking in the mirror. It's right behind you. He's checking his form. I looked back. There was a giant wall-to-wall mirror behind my machine. Of course he'd use that as an excuse. It was the perfect cover. I told her so. That's what he wants you to think. It's a classic move. He can stare at me and have plausible deniability. My friend let out a long, slow breath. The kind of breath that says, I don't have the energy for this conversation. Okay, she said. Whatever you say, just ignore him. But I couldn't ignore him. This was the moment. This was the crux of my entire investigation. I wasn't just going to ignore him, I was going to confront him. I was going to be the voice for all the women who felt uncomfortable in the gym, but were too scared to speak up. I felt my pulse quicken. This was it. I watched him for another 5 minutes. Every rep, every set, his eyes were in that same spot. He wasn't just checking his form. It was too consistent. He was watching me. I was sure of it. My anger started to build. It was a righteous anger. How dare he? How dare he make me feel like an object on display? My friend had moved on to another part of the gym, probably sensing what I was about to do. Good. I didn't need her pragmatic attitude raining on my parade of justice. The guy finished his final set of curls and put the dumbbells back on the rack. He pulled out his phone and a small towel to wipe his forehead. It was now or never. I stood up from my machine, feeling a strange sense of calm descend over me, the calm of absolute certainty. I was about to make a scene, and I was about to be completely 100% in the right. I took a deep breath, straightened my back, and started walking towards him. I had my opening line all planned out. It was going to be glorious. I walked across the rubber flooring, my footsteps silent. He was engrossed in his phone, completely unaware. I stopped a few feet in front of him, crossing my arms. He didn't notice me at first. I had to clear my throat, loudly. He looked up from his phone, a bit startled. His eyes were just normal eyes, not the predatory glare I had imagined, just a bit confused. "Can I help you?" he asked. His voice was quiet, unremarkable. This was the moment. Theatricality was key. I made sure my voice was loud enough for the people on the nearby machines to hear. "Do you have a problem?" I asked, loading my voice with as much accusation as I could muster. He blinked, total confusion on his face now. "I'm sorry." "My face is up here," I said, pointing to my own head. "Not down there. I'd appreciate it if you stopped staring. It's disgusting." A few people did stop what they were doing. A guy on a nearby bench paused with the dumbbells halfway up. The average guy's face went through a series of emotions. First confusion, then a flicker of comprehension, and then it settled on an expression I couldn't quite read. It wasn't anger, it wasn't guilt, it was exhaustion. Like a man who had been expecting this exact conversation his entire life and was just tired of having it. He let out a very quiet, humorless laugh. "You think I was staring at you?" he said. It wasn't a question, it was a statement of fact. I felt a surge of triumph, a confession. "I don't think I know," I shot back. "You haven't taken your eyes off me for the last 15 minutes. It's harassment." The word hung in the air. Harassment. The nuclear option. He looked me dead in the eye. His whole demeanor changed. The confusion was gone, replaced by a cold, hard clarity. "Let me explain something to you," he said, his voice still quiet, but now it had an edge to it. It cut through the gym noise. "First of all, I was looking at the mirror behind you to check my form, because, unlike you, I'm actually here to exercise, and I don't want to injure myself." My friend's words echoed in my head, but I pushed them away. A predictable excuse. "But let's pretend for a second," he continued. "Let's pretend you're right. Let's say I did notice you. Let's say I thought you were attractive and I was looking at you." He gestured vaguely around the gym. "Look around. What do you see? You see guys with headphones on, staring at the floor, staring at the mirrors, staring at their phones. You see them talking to the one or two friends they came with and nobody else." I glanced around. He was right. The guy on the bench had gone back to his set, his focus absolute. The Greek god was in his own world. Everyone was locked down. "That's not an accident," the average guy said, his voice dropping even lower. "That's a survival strategy. We're taught from day one that the gym is a minefield. You guys write articles about it. You make TikToks about it. The gym is where the creepy men are." His words were like little jabs, each one hitting a target I didn't know I had. "So we adapted," he went on. "We developed a code. Rule 1, don't look at anyone. Ever. A woman could be struggling to lift a weight that's about to crush her, and you do not make eye contact. You walk away. Because if you offer to help, you're a condescending mansplainer. If you don't, you're a useless bystander. The only winning move is not to play. I wanted to interrupt, to say something about how that was a gross oversimplification, but my mouth wouldn't work. Rule 2, the headphones stay on. Always. Even if you're not listening to music, it's a sign. It says, I am not open for interaction. I cannot hear you. I do not exist. Rule 3, never, under any circumstances, approach a woman you don't know. Don't ask to work in. Don't ask for a spot. Don't compliment her on her lift. Don't say hello. Because the line between a friendly comment and a harassment claim is a line that you draw, not us. And we have no idea where it is. It changes every single day. He took a step closer. Not in an intimidating way, but in a way that felt like he was sharing a profound secret. You came in here wearing that outfit, looking for attention. You got mad because you didn't get it from the guys you wanted it from, and then you targeted me because I was the most convenient excuse to prove your preconceived bias. My face felt hot. It was like he was reading the notes from my blog post directly from my brain. You think we ignore you because we're not interested? We ignore you because we're terrified. This, he gestured between me and him, this conversation right here is our worst nightmare. Being publicly accused, being labeled a creep, having our membership revoked, or our picture posted online. He finally paused, taking a breath. So, no, I wasn't staring at you. And frankly, even if you were the most beautiful woman in the world, I wouldn't have the courage to look. It's just not worth the risk. He stared at me for a second longer, his eyes filled with that same profound weariness. Then he just shook his head, picked up his towel and his phone, and walked away. He didn't storm off. He just left. Like the conversation was over, and there was nothing more to say. I was left standing there, alone, in the middle of the weight room. The bubble of my righteous anger had been popped. All that was left was a hollow, ringing silence in my ears. A few people were looking at me, not with sympathy, not with support. They just had neutral expressions. Then they looked away and went back to their workouts. I felt like an idiot, a complete and utter idiot. My friend appeared at my side. She didn't say, I told you so. She didn't have to. The look on her face said it for her. She just put a hand on my shoulder. You want to go? I nodded, unable to speak. We collected our things from the lockers in silence. The drive home was silent too. I was just replaying his words over and over in my head. We ignore you because we're terrified. It's just not worth the risk. Every word chipped away at the foundation of my worldview. I had built my entire identity around the idea of being a target, a victim of a system designed by men. But what if the system had become something else entirely? What if it had become a labyrinth of invisible rules and tripwires that men were forced to navigate with the constant threat of social execution for one wrong step? I had walked into that gym expecting to find predators. Instead, I found a room full of men trying desperately to be invisible. They weren't ignoring me to slight me. They were ignoring me for their own protection. My experiment was a success, just not in the way I had intended. I had found the truth about gym culture, and it was the polar opposite of what I had believed. The real story wasn't about male aggression, it was about male fear. When I got home, I opened my laptop and pulled up the draft of my blog post. The Invisibility Cloak, How Men at the Gym Use Ignorance as a Weapon of Misogyny. I stared at the title for a long time. It looked so stupid, so childish, so completely and utterly wrong. I highlighted the entire text and pressed the delete key. I didn't write anything that night, or the next day. The whole framework I used to understand the world was broken. I thought about the Greek god in his headphone cocoon, locked in a solitary battle with a metal bar. I thought about the loud group of bros, creating a small, safe circle of masculine energy where they wouldn't be a threat to anyone. And I thought about the average guy, the one I had falsely accused. I thought about the look of pure, soul-crushing exhaustion on his face. I had gone to the gym looking for a monster, but the only monster in that room, on that day, had been me. It's been a few months since that day. I still go to the gym with my friend, but now I wear a baggy t-shirt and comfortable shorts. I put in my own headphones and I don't look at anyone. I'm not there to prove a point anymore. I'm just there to work out. And sometimes I see the average guy. We never speak. We never even make eye contact. We just share the same space, following the same unwritten rules. Two strangers in a world where both just trying to survive.